Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to what is definitely not Deja Vu. This is already feeling weird. Anyway, this is the new expansion for Total War 3 Kingdoms. This is the Mandate of Heaven, which has been given to me very kindly by Creative Assembly. In it, we are basically playing the origins of the Yellow Turban Rebellion. If you remember, the main game is kind of at the end of it. They've had the rebellion. You got the three, Gongdu, Heiyi, and the other dude, whose name I've already forgotten, kind of winding down, kind of being chased down by the regular warlords, and then you have the rise of the three kingdoms. In this, you are playing as the Yellow Turbans. It is the rise of the Yellow Turbans and then the actual rebellion itself. And one of the things which is really cool about this is the Yellow Turban Rebellion itself will kick off at one specific date, but the actual groundwork that you set up before the rebellion begins in earnest is determined by what you do as the three Yellow Turban brothers. So you can basically create your own scenario based on your actions, which I kind of like. You'll understand what I mean when we actually get started here. The other thing which I want to talk about are the timelines. So there are a couple of characters like Liu Bei, Cao Cao, Dongzhuo, who are playable in the Mandate of Heaven bookmark and also in the regular bookmark, and you can switch between them. So you can play like Liu Bei really early on, or you can play in the regular one, and there's basically a new timeline thing at the bottom of the screen, which we'll talk about as well. The reason I wanted to highlight that is because the characters like talking a lot when we actually have them selected, and I hate talking over dialogue. So I just wanted to explain that before we get going. But I can show you exactly what we mean with Cao Cao. So if we select Cao Cao, we can see the buttons down here at the bottom. So this is the Mandate of Heaven choice. This is the Rise of the Warlords, which is the regular game. And then the 8 Princes. The 8 Princes are only the 8 Princes, it being 100 years after the regular game. But there is a fair number of characters who have crossover between Mandate of Heaven and Rise of the Warlords. For example, the three kingdoms, which are now this faction. It's not really a faction, but it kind of is. Then we've got the House of Han, which are the Emperor, which can now play. And the Emperor's game is very similar to Western Rome in Attila. So it's very much you start with everything and slowly bits and pieces get nibbled away, and it's kind of this disintegrating empire. And I want to see if they've handled that as well as they have the fall of Rome in Attila, which I still think is one of the great examples of a massive empire being completely just destroyed from all of these various factors. Because usually in a grand strategy game, once you're big, you've snowballed and you're impossible to assail. So they've done a great job having this massive entity and then just falling apart. I think that's really, really cool. Then you have the various warlords. They will be people like Dongzhuo. The governors, who are like Liu Biao, and also Liu Bei's mentor, whose name I've already forgotten. But he is part of a free DLC, which releases on the same day as Mandate of Heaven, which I do have installed, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The Bandits, which are only in the Rise of the Warlords. The Yellow Turbans, so you've got the three original brothers, and then you've got people like Gongdu in the latter bookmark, and then the 8 Princes in the 8 Princes game. So, let's talk a bit about... Well, okay, so here's a question for you guys on stream. Do you want me to go through all of the characters and show you their new start positions, so like Cao Cao, and we'll go through what they're all about, or do you feel like you know enough about them and we should just talk about the completely new characters? Bearing in mind that the start position of these guys is going to be different in Mandate of Heaven versus the regular one. So let's do this as a quick poll, and it can be a very, very quick poll. Manage poll. Whoops, no, don't view the results. I need to actually create it. New poll. Do you want more info? Show me the old guy's new start. Show me the new old guys. Show me the new ones only. Start poll. Okay, so you are going to have a minute or two for that. Let me know what you would like to see. For those of you on mobile, I am hoping that going to this link will allow you to participate. But I'm not 100% sure. Can I show you German East Asia? Wrong game, Ballistic. So no. show me the new ones only, are winning by a fair margin. So we'll go through just those. So Cao Cao, Liu Biao, and Sun Jian, these are all old ones, but they can be played in the old bookmark. Then we have the House of Han, which is Liu Hong and Liu Cheng. Liu Hong is the Emperor, so you are playing as the Emperor. He is not himself a character in the game, but you play as his faction and as his dynasty, effectively. And then Liu Cheng, who is his, like, top general. So Liu Hong is, like, trying to keep to power, whereas Liu Cheng is the guy with the big armies who is going around slapping people. And his really interesting mechanic is he starts off with the top tier troops. Like, his main army is absurdly strong. The problem is he has a -20 replenishment on those units. So if you lose them, you're not getting them back again. If you take casualties, it's going to be very difficult to replenish those troops. So he's going to start incredibly powerfully, but then go down in power as the game goes on, effectively. Then we've got the Warlords. I don't think that these have changed. This is like Yuan Shao, Gongsun Zan, Yuan Shu, and then Dong Zhuo. Dong Zhuo being the only one, I think, which is playable in all of them. And in fact, we can see here from the icons which bookmarks they're in. So the orange one is Mandate, the red one is the Warlords, and then the purple one is a Princess. So Dong Zhuo, you can play in both, although he is significantly slimmer in the other one, in Mandate. Then we have got Ma Teng, Kong Rong, Liu Biao, Zhu Xi, and Tao Qian. Liu Xi is the... No, he's in Mandate of Heaven. Tao Qian is the new guy. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Creative Assembly did actually give us a document with like the pronunciations for all of these characters. Let me just go and see if I can find that real quick, because I have a feeling I'm going to need it. This was... What was his name? Tao Qian. Tao Qian. I did. Perfect. Okay, so we do have a couple of new strategists. That's the first thing I want to highlight. My main man, Kong Rong, is not the only strategist in the game anymore. Liu Ji and Tao Qian are as well. In fact, that's another name I want to just double check. Liu Ji. Okay. And then we've got the Bandits. These are only playable in the regular game. They only have the one start date. The Yellow Turbans. These are the new guys. So we have Zhang Jue, Zhang Liang, Zhang Bao. These are the three brothers who are effectively responsible for the Yellow Turban uprising. And then we've got He Yi, Gongdu, and Huang Shao, who are the Yellow Turban late game people. And as you can see, there is no overlap between them. These three probably will rise at some point, so you do have the rise of interesting characters in the Mandate of Heaven game. You just can't play as them from the start. I don't know if there's a mechanic to allow you to play as them when they actually become available. There might be, but I don't know for sure. It would be kind of cool if there was. And the three brothers have a really interesting mechanic whereby their actions reflect on each other. So if Zhang Liang wins a battle, then Zhang Jue and Zhang Bao will also gain fervor from his victory. The three of them do have like a different role in the game, which we'll talk about. So you'll notice they all have the symbiosis ability. This is like them working together, and the more victories one has, the more victories they all have. And if one of them suffers a humiliating defeat, then they will all suffer the effects of the humiliating defeat. Zhang Jue is the healer, so he actually gains fervor for taking casualties, and he gains bonuses to replenishment and population growth. Zhang Liang is the defender, so he gains more fervor when he is attacked, and his role is very much being the front line of the Yellow Turban, so he really wants to be in the fight constantly and basically trying to build up enough time to allow Zhang Bao to get into the game, and he is the aggressive one, so expect him to be more influential late game when he's actually got his armies together and he can go on the offensive and start earning more territories for the Yellow Turbans. And again, all of their actions will feed into each other, which is a really interesting mechanic, which I'm very interested in seeing exactly how that works. And then we have the 8 Princes. These are the guys which can only play as in the 8 Princes bookmark. And none of the regular characters make it to 100 years old, apparently, so you can't play as them either. Right. What was the other character I wanted to talk about? Tao Qian. Tao Qian is another interesting one because the more damage the rest of the world takes, the stronger he becomes. So his boon is basically refugees. So people will flee from the other realms and then move into his lands. So the more damage everyone else is taking, the more of a stalemate there is effectively between the Han and the Yellow Turbans, the stronger he becomes, which is kind of an interesting mechanic as well. So definitely want to try him at some point, especially as he's a strategist. I really like the strategist characters. So Kong Rong, Lu Ji, I'm sure is going to be very interesting than Tao Qian. I don't know that much about Lu Ji, so I can't really talk about him that much. Just to say that he's one of the new guys. Okay, so we are going to be playing as one of the Yellow Turbans, and in fact you can probably guess which of these Yellow Turbans I am the most interested in, considering how I like to play. Although, before we do that, we should probably actually go and click on the new characters and then hear what they have to say and talk about their abilities.
Resist the chaos of change.
The Emperor is the steward of the Han dynasty, burdened with the heaven-sent responsibility of guiding the disparate realms of China under one rule.
Had to pour myself some tea before we get started here, of course. Yet despite his celestial duty, the dynasty over which he presides is racked by turmoil. This is his opportunity to right the madness consuming the land. To succeed, he must reconcile and balance the competing powers in his court. The relatively newly crowned empress tries to stem the flow of corruption, yet the even more powerful eunuch attendants continue to whisper their desires, honeyed and tempting, into his ears. He has the political influence, which increases by developing administration office buildings, and is used to annex factions diplomatically and release characters from court. So, Liu Hong has 3 factions vying for control over the Han Empire. The eunuchs, which are the ones who are basically credited with causing all the problems here, they're basically the bureaucrats, and the long-term objective is to rid your court of the eunuch faction. They start out overwhelmingly strong, and you have to spend your political influence to get rid of them. Then the second faction are the Warlords, who are going to be people like Dong Zhuo, and you basically want to keep them happy enough where they don't cause trouble, but not give them enough power where they can actually cause trouble. And then the third faction, I've already forgotten. His own family? I think it's the courtiers, those loyal to the Han Emperor. The dynasty, that's right. The interesting thing is our old smiley friend here, Kong Rong, is one of the noteworthy characters under Liu Hong. He is the court tutor. So if you want to play a campaign where you've got Kong Rong but not actually playing as him, the hand start with him. Noteworthy point. And also Yuan Shao and also He Jin, the butcher of the He. Yuan Shao and then Kong Rong. He has the... what units are these? The Imperial Army, which are the elite units. These are like the top tier units, which are really difficult to replenish. So, very low replenishment. The Imperial Court. Political actions, which allows you to get economy, military, and diplomacy. And then reward officials, political assignment. The other thing I should mention with the political influence is even though he starts with just this little province, everything in yellow are his vassals. So you start with billions of vassals, and you do have to try and keep them loyal to you, and part of the game is going to be trying to stop them from fragmenting and splitting away. He can use his political influence to actually annex these vassals into his realm proper, so he can basically start centralizing everything around by spending political influence. But of course you have a lot of different things trying to use the political influence, for example ridding the realm of the eunuchs. Okay, so that is him. Let's go and take a look at Liu Chong.
Always ready for the fight.
Prince Liu Chong is a warrior whose dedication to his people is matched only by his formidable skill in battle.
Whilst other imperial princes choose not to actively govern, Liu Chong gladly rules over his territory and through his energetic nature and genuine concern is beloved. As trouble now brews in the imperial court and in the provinces, Liu Chong knows his primary concern is for his people. A prestigious warrior, unafraid of a fight, he readies himself for whatever may come with the confidence and zeal. Although I just noticed he's actually in the base game, which I didn't remember. So he has the trophy cabinet. He acquires trophies from achievements, and he can place these trophies on display for unique effects. He has the Chen Peacekeepers, which are anti-missile cavalry with good morale, good armor, ranged opener. So I guess they have like javelins or something. And they can encourage, which is a morale buff. And then they also have the Chen Royal Guard, who are good all-rounders, good morale, good armor, and their missile attacks. It looks like they're crossbows. And he starts with Liu Jun, who is the Guardian of the People. I want to see what his other starting position is, because I do not remember this guy. Yeah, he is. Was he just added to the regular campaign? He's in exactly the same place. He's just a lot smaller. So he must be one of the few people still loyal to the Han Emperor, because he hates Dong Zhuo. Like the two, I think, start a war. Interesting. Might have to try him in the future. Restore the Han Empire, maybe. What time period is this set in? Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Kong Rong is not a eunuch. Yeah, he is in the eunuch's faction, but he is not himself a eunuch. Because it's the bureaucratic faction, it's not the eunuch faction. It's just dominated by the eunuchs. There are both eunuchs and non-eunuchs, and they will both bring different things to the table. It's an interesting, deeper layer. Interesting. We're definitely going to be playing as the Han, by the way. Like, I am the most interested in the Han Empire in this, but I want to play it from the perspective of the Yellow Turbans first. Also, so I remind myself how this game works. But the Han Empire, 100% we're playing as the Han. My favourite game of Total War so far has been that Attila campaign, where we're playing as Western Rome. Ranged opener is a crossbow. Liu Chong loved crossbows. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so those are the Han characters. I don't think any of the Warlords are new. No, and I think it is worth talking about Dong Zhuo, so we are going to select him.
I will not shirk from employing cruelty for the greater good.
As you can see, fairly smaller.
Although he swears fealty to the Emperor, Dong Zhuo sees the fire fading from the Han.
His mind sours, beginning to imagine life beyond the dynasty. His career has been marked by success, yet as the government becomes corrupt, his victories fade to nothing before his failures. Although known for brutality, Dong Zhuo is beloved by his troops, who enjoy his generosity. Yet his bitterness increases, so too does his cruelty. In his quest for satisfaction, there is no knowing how Dong Zhuo will act. And he starts in the far, 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 far north, so he's moved a fair bit away from his like regular starting position in the base game, where he's all the way down here.
Dong Zhuo burns with the fire.
Okay, then those are all of those characters. Let's take a look at the governors. The only governor... Well, actually, let's talk about these two. So, Lu Ji.
The fight is long, but worthwhile.
Lu Ji is as wise as he is imposing. A scholar whose writing often carries portents that, if unheeded, predict dark tidings for the future of the land.
Although known also as a powerful general in his own right, Lu Ji is one of the foremost historians and scholars of the time, aiding in the writing of the history of the Eastern Han. He was also the mentor of Liu Bei, whose compassion and wisdom brings honor to the teacher that clearly taught him so well. So Lu Ji starts here, which is right next to where Kong Rong starts in the base game, and then right next door to him is Liu Bei, who is also a playable character. He has the Great Library, which I quite like the sound of. Collects great works and books from across the Empire. Can place books on the display for unique effects, so it's kind of like the trophy cabinet. Unique features, he has the Defenders of the Empire, which are unbreakable and missile defense. Oh man, unbreakable spearmen? Ooh, interesting. And then the Destroyers of Treachery. A good charge, and they do splash damage. High-level cavalry, though, requires level 6 character. Teaching assignment, which grants experience to all characters in local commandery and also adjacent commanderies. And then loyalty to the Han. He cannot declare himself emperor, he has to take the emperor from somebody else. And he has Huang Fu Song, who is modest and stalwart. And then we've got Tao Qian.
There is cunning in caution.
Tao Qian is still a man of considerable talent. Yet age and time have begun to fray the corners of his once immovable ability.
He is beloved and diligent administrator, yet now he begins to consider who will succeed him. His son seems incapable of the responsibility, and chaos begins to rise across the land once more, so he must widen his search. Even so, he knows his duty is not yet done. Just as before, he will not stand to see madness consume the land a second time. And his faction Specialization are the displaced population, which increases as the war rages through China, is decreased by sending characters in Tao Qian's unique assignment, and can affect militia recruitment costs, food consumption, and construction and mustering times. So as I said, the more chaos that happens throughout the rest of China, the stronger he becomes. He has the territorial spearmen, who have a bonus morale when defending, melee defense when defending, and melee damage when defending. However, they are weak against missiles. And the territorial archers, who have the same abilities as the spearmen, but they have bows. And then loyalty to the Han, he cannot declare himself emperor. Also, I just realised Tao Qian is the guy that, when I was doing the multiplayer game with Bussy, was like my most loyal subject. I remember him now, and now he's apparently playable, and he is playable in both start dates. So he's still around, even 9 years from now. So that's all of those guys. No new bandits. The yellow turbans. Here we go. You know what? I know we said we weren't going to do it, but there's only 3 of them. We're going to see what their situation is in this in the mandate start date.
Cao Cao is not ignorant to the failings of the Hun. Yet he will fight all the same to see its survival.
Despite his loyalty, he has nevertheless experienced firsthand the capricious nature of the imperial court. The emperor, split between corrupt eunuchs and the resistant empress, proffers generosity to Cao Cao with one hand, yet cruelty with the other. Recalled now to fight the Emperor's enemies, Cao Cao will proliferate the imperial message to all, whether with conjured rhetoric or remorseless steel. And he still has credibility. Yes, the same trait.
Cao Cao is not ignorant to the failings
and
of the
his
Han.
abilities haven't changed, so we won't
Yet
really
he
talk
will-
about those. Then Liu Bei.
Liu Bei has come from nothing, has nothing. But in him lies the potential to be something far greater.
Born with a nominal attachment to the ruling Han dynasty, Liu Bei grew up with ambitious dreams and lofty ideals, yet his ardour has faded from his life, shaken by tragedy, and become more mundane out of necessity. However, though dimmed, his passion has never fully died. Loved by all those who know him, Liu Bei still has the desire to aid the world. He just does not yet know how. So it sounds like he starts off very, very low-key, and I suspect his start's going to be even harder than the regular game.
Loyalty lies in hearts, not in governments.
Suen Zhen has never shied away from opportunity. And despite his loyalties, the fall of the Imperial Court presents great opportunities.
As a young man, Sun Jian rose from obscurity of his mercantile upbringing, learning from the deeds of his father that fortune must be seized, never expected. Since then, he has always led the head of the charge, earning the epithet the Vanguard General. It is this determined spirit that drives the Tiger of Jiandong forwards. May his roar sweep all obstacles away. And he has the same abilities as in the regular game. Okay, Yellow Turbans, it is time.
Do not deviate. Do not compromise.
Zhang Jue has heard his future told. He is destined to tear down the corrupt dynasty and lead the people to a better future.
Known as the healer in his native Julu commandery, Zhang Jue and his brothers are well liked by the people, yet his discovery of the scriptures of great peace detailing the connection between the heaven and the earth set him on a path to rising a righteous rebellion against the Han. With his brothers in tow, he will topple the corrupt government and begin the world anew. So he has the Zeal resource, which is shared between all 3 brothers. Resources, it says there, increases income and replenishment at high levels. At low levels, it decreases all of that. Gained from every casualty, which is his special, but it does go down over time. He has the Messengers of Heaven, which are melee cavalry, good morale, high movement speed, good charge. They cause fear. They have got missile defense, but they have low armor. Can't tell if that's a shield or if they're dual wielding. That looks like they're dual wielding. So if they have missile damage just from like cutting the arrows out of the sky, that's quite impressive. And then they have the Chosen of the 8 Immortals. Good morale, strong charge, armor piercing, unbreakable. However, they do have low armor and a small unit size. And then he has the Teachings of Heaven, which increases replenishment of his allied armies and his own armies and adjacent commanderies, but it does reduce his population growth and hurts the diplomatic relations with Han Empire factions. And it should be noted, the world is looking ever so slightly red for the Yellow Turbans. They start at war with pretty much everything, which is going to be a challenge early on, that's for sure. Also, his character specializations, I totally forgot about these. He gets plus 20 fervor from characters in the local county. He scares, and he has plus 8 morale faction-wide, as long as he is in charge. Then we've got Zhang Bao.
I will not stop until I see the yellow sky rise.
Zhang Bao hurls himself into the fray, brave and bold, in pursuit of a better future for all.
Although a fearsome warrior in his own right, Zhang Bao knows that only through union with his brothers and with the people will China be freed from the yoke of corruption and tyranny. Legend has it that the redemption of China was prophesied, that together with an army behind them, the azure sky would fall, and the yellow sky finally rise. So once again, he has zeal. He gets increased damage when attacking. He gains zeal from attacking, unlike his brother who gains it from casualties, and it does go down over time. He has the Zealots of the Way, which have good morale. They're good in melee. They have a charge reflect. Ooh, interesting. And they have a missile defense. And then the Yao Guai Hunters, who use poisonous arrows. They have guerrilla deployment. They are snipers, which I believe means they can shoot from invisibility, and then it doesn't reveal them. However, they do have poor morale, and they are terrible in combat. His special assignment is Discipline of the Land, which will decrease the morale of enemy armies and adjacent commanderies, increases the fervor of adjacent commanderies. However, it decreases population growth and hurts the diplomatic relations with the Han. And then finally, last but most certainly not least, Zhang Liang.
Listen to the land. Feel the will of heaven.
Zhang Liang is the watchful giant, a sentinel who will hold the line and his beliefs against any and all enemies.
He, along with his brothers, set to easing the pain of a suffering people by preaching a better way, then mobilizing them into a force capable of toppling the corrupt regime. Although an imposing figure, Zhang Liang knows that only together they will be able to strike the fatal blow that will tear down the azure sky forever and lead to a greater future for China. He gains zeal from defending. He increased damage when he is defending, so he has to be defending. He cannot attack people. I mean, he can, he just doesn't get any benefits from it. He has got the Tyrant Slayers, who have a strong charge, and they are good against generals. Tyrant Slayers are great at killing heroes. It's in the name. So I'm kind of curious and interested to see exactly how these guys work, because usually regular soldiers are kind of terrible against generals. Tyrant Slayers? Might not be. And then he's got Gallants of the People, who are frontline units. They have good armor, good morale, and they encourage. Sounds like my perfect units. Can't wait to see what they're like. And then his own character, plus 10 fervor from characters in the local county. He has plus 8 attrition to hostile forces faction-wide, and he scares. Also, we totally forgot to take a look at his ability,
For the people,
which is plus 6
and
public
for the
order
way.
faction-wide, and he scares. Okay. Let's do this.
Duty to them.
Dark rumors are spoken in every corner of the land.
I've got to check the difficulty.
Whispering of the end of the Hun.
I'm just going to skip this, and then we'll go, like, load all this again. Sorry about that. I want to check the difficulty we're starting this at. I forgot that was an option.
Inheritors of the Qin's right to
So
rule.
don't worry that I'm skipping through this. We
since
will be
their
doing it properly.
ascendancy, myriad Han emperors have ruled the land,
Just excited.
and each has maintained the dynasty in their own way.
Come on. Ah. Quit to menu. Confirm. Sorry about that. And yes, I know I need to move my head. Again, this is regular OBS. I don't have any of my options set up. I will work it out when we're in the game. And we're... okay, we'll move you to the side for now.